Some men forgive. I don't. Betrayal doesn't just cut me, it rewires me. In business, on the field, or in marriage, I don't take revenge in the heat of the moment. I let it simmer, sharpen it, and deliver it when it hurts most. That's how I've always survived. But the day I uncovered my wife's lies, that was the day I went from survivor to executioner. I like to think of myself as the kind of man people underestimate. I run a chain of small but profitable convenience stores scattered across 3 towns. To my employees, mostly single mothers, young students, and women juggling 2 jobs, I'm that fair boss. I pay above minimum wage, hand out discounts, let them take home expired food instead of tossing it. I play the role of approachable manager, the laid-back guy who cracks a smile at the register while checking balance sheets in my head. But under that affable exterior is steel. The rugby field taught me that. I've been a lock all my life. Big frame, quick enough for my size and smart enough to see plays unfolding before they happen. Rugby taught me strategy, when to hold ground, when to bend, when to strike. In games, if someone wronged me, I never forgot. I didn't scream bloody murder to the ref. I didn't throw haymakers in the open. No, I waited, I studied. I chose my moment, and when it came, I ended them. That was how I carried myself in life, which is why I noticed before anyone else when things in my marriage began slipping. Lisa, my wife of 5 years, she was, at least to everyone else, the calm to my storm, quiet, warm, thoughtful. She managed the house, loved cooking, even dropped by my shops from time to time, chatting with my cashiers like she belonged in their world. She hated credit cards, prided herself on living simply, and never wasted money. But one morning, while glancing at our joint account, a red flag waved like blood in the wind. Large, repeated cash withdrawals. Lisa never used cash, ever. That night, I didn't bring it up. I cooked her dinner, handed her wine, watched her laugh at some cooking show we both liked. And all the while my head raced, gambling, drugs, a secret life, a lover. By midnight, I knew one thing: trust had already cracked. And once cracks form, pressure only widens them until everything shatters. But I couldn't just accuse her. That wasn't my way. I needed proof. I needed certainty. The first move was small, innocent even. I asked to borrow her phone one evening, told her I discovered a piece of software to back up contacts, a handy safety net in case her phone crashed. Her reaction? Instant panic. Hands clutching the phone like it was a lifeline. Words stumbling. "Oh, the battery's dead, maybe later." That was confirmation one. She was hiding something. The rest, frankly, was easy. I'd made my stores theft-proof by watching patterns. Missing cash registers, odd late night till reads, stock shifts. It's all data if your eyes are sharp enough. Marriage, it turns out, works the same way. Lisa began coming home late. Strange excuses. A faint whiff of cologne, not mine, sometimes clung to her clothes. By then there wasn't rage inside me, just calm purpose. I hired a private investigator, discreet, efficient. Within a week he delivered everything. Photos, logs, locations. Lisa slipping into a sales rep's flat twice in 1 week. Lisa tangled up with another man, Mark Donovan, of all people, in the shadows of a car park while I was sweating at rugby training. It wasn't a mistake, it was a pattern. And in that instant I made my choice. The marriage wasn't broken, it was dead. But how would I bury it? Revenge, like business, isn't about passion, it's about timing. Strike too soon and people see your hand. Strike too late and the blow barely registers. But if you strike at the exact moment they're most vulnerable, it's devastating. So while Lisa kept sneaking off to her lovers, Mark Donovan, my so-called rival on the football pitch, and Daniel, that glassy-eyed sales rep with his cheap ties, I began crafting the outline of justice. I didn't scream at her. I didn't confront her with the photos the investigator had laid out in crisp black and white. Instead, I took notes, calculated, waited. The first experiment started at home, subtle, invisible, personal. I knew Lisa's cycle more accurately than she probably suspected. For years, I'd paid attention, habits of being a planner seep into every corner of life. exactly when she'd start using her period drawer, exactly which brand she preferred. One night, while she slept soundly the way only the guilty can, I stood in our kitchen with latex gloves, a syringe, and a few painfully fresh Scotch bonnet chilies. Extracting their juice was messy work, burning my own hands through the gloves, but I wasn't after volume, just pure concentrated fire. I smeared the juice across a few pairs of her favored underwear. The real masterpiece, though, was in the tampons. Needle in, drop of venom, pull out, one by one, precise, surgical. Wintergreen oil was the prankster's tool. It smells, it warns, chilly, silent, invisible. The agony would bloom only when gravity had already taken hold. I didn't tamper with everything. That would have blown my cover. No, I left most untouched, sprinkling the sabotage here and there. Random enough that when the fire came, she wouldn't know where it originated. That's the key to effective psychological warfare. Never let your enemy be sure why they're suffering. Within days, the results lit up like fireworks. At first, little signs. Lisa shifting uncomfortably in her seat, tugging at her dress. Then the subtle squirming at dinner, legs clamped, a wince barely hidden by her wine glass. Eventually, she cracked. "Think I need to see a doctor," she muttered one evening, trying to sound casual. "Everything okay?" I asked, deadpan. "Yeah, just some irritation," she waved. "Probably nothing." The next day, I found the cream in her handbag. Prescription strength. Burning gone clinical. She never guessed the source. That was proof enough for me. My experiments worked. But while Lisa battled the invisible knives I'd planted, Donovan was next on my board. Mark Donovan. God, I hated that man even before I knew he was sleeping with Lisa. He was everything I wasn't. Flamboyant on the field, cocky off it. Always walking with that bounce that screamed, "I think I'm untouchable." At football, he was a predator who liked to press his physicality on weaker players. Laugh when he accidentally clipped someone's foot. Play the charming bastard afterward. He thought he was unbreakable. So I joined his 5A-side football matches. Just another familiar face there, pretending I only wanted to keep fit. My rugby tackling made me an odd addition, but the lads laughed and waved me in. The first game was reconnaissance. I played clumsy, letting Donovan dribble past me a few too many times. He grew smug quickly, nicknamed me Laurie for being slow and heavy on turns. I laughed it off with the others, feeding his ego. That's what predators love, a compliant prey. But on the pitch, I set boundaries. When he tried to jab studs into my ankle, I laughed loudly, calling him cheeky but making sure everyone noticed. Little seeds planted. Donovan's a dirty player. The following match, roles rotated and he caught me in goal. He came charging straight at me, expecting another easy humiliation. This time, I didn't move. I body-checked him like a rugby hit, timed to perfection. He sprawled like a rag doll. Instantly, I ran forward, hand outstretched, apologizing too much, blaming my clumsy rugby legs. The team saw his earlier antics and didn't defend him. He was starting to lose his image. By the third game, Donovan's mask cracked. He lunged in with a reckless tackle designed to wipe me out. But I'd seen it before, the narrowing of the eyes, the shift in his hips, the calculated cruelty disguised as play. I pivoted, foot angled just so, and his knee collided with my rising boot. The scream was guttural, raw. A tearing sound sliced the air. Ligaments don't snap quietly. He collapsed immediately, clutching his knee, agony written all over his face. "Bloody hell, Mark!" someone shouted, rushing forward. I joined them in mock horror. "Jesus, mate, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean. I swear it was an accident." Inside, though, I didn't feel an ounce of guilt. The team carried him off, sympathy fading fast as whispers spread. Donovan started it. Donovan was reckless. Donovan only had himself to blame. An ambulance came. His career as the big dog of the pitch ended that night. Meanwhile, at home, Lisa writhed in discomfort, blaming herself, her chemistry, her diet, grasping for explanations she'd never find. And me? I drank my beer, logged the day's earnings from each store, and smiled. The game had only just begun. The thing about carefully laid traps is this: Eventually, they spring themselves. You don't need to rush, don't need to push. You just wait. Lisa was already fraying at the edges. The chili had done its work perfectly. She squirmed through dinners, excused herself at awkward moments, grew sharp and irritable in her tone, as though the world itself had conspired to rub sandpaper against her skin. At the same time, Donovan was broken. Word spread about his injury, shredded ligaments, months of rehab, whispers of an early retirement. The swagger was gone, the intimidation dissolved. My rivals, both in my bed and on the pitch, were steadily burning down to ash. All that remained was Lisa herself. It happened on a Thursday evening. I came home from another football night, sweat on my shirt, mud on my boots, purposefully taking my time to grab a late beer with the lads so she'd stew in her suspicions. When I finally opened the door, I walked straight into a storm. Lisa sat on the couch, arms crossed, face blazing with a fury I hadn't seen in years. "You scum-sucker," she spat. I froze in the doorway, beer still in my hand. Perfect, I thought. Loud accusations meant emotions had finally boiled past her defenses. "Good evening to you too," I said evenly, shrugging out of my coat. "Don't you dare play dumb," she shouted, standing up now, trembling with anger. I know. My brow furrowed. "Know what?" "That you've given me syphilis," she snarled. "Who is she? Tell me who the whore is, because I swear to God I'll drag you through court, take every penny you own, and burn your pathetic stores to the ground." The venom in her words was almost impressive. For a second I marveled at how passionately she defended a lie built on her own betrayal. I let a long silence hang, just staring at her. Then, deliberately calm, voice low, I said, "Not me." She blinked. "Maybe Mark Donovan," I continued softly, "or Daniel." It was like watching a tower pulled down brick by brick. Her fury froze, mouth half open, eyes wide with shock. Her hands, balled into fists a moment earlier, now trembled. "What?" she whispered. Without another word, I reached into my briefcase, where I'd kept it ready for this exact performance, and produced the thick, stapled report from the private investigator. Black and white photographs, phone logs, dates, times, connections, evidence no one could twist. I tossed it onto the table. The pages fanned out, exposing grainy shots of her and Donovan in that secluded car park, her slipping into Daniel's flat on a weekday afternoon. She stepped forward, hands hovering over the papers like they might burn her fingers. Her voice crumbled to a whisper. "You knew." "I've always known," I said, my tone still cold, clinical, like a man reciting accounts at work. "For weeks now, I gave you enough rope to hang yourself, and you did." Lisa's face collapsed under the weight of it. The storm of fire was gone. In its place, disbelief, shame, desperation. Tears shimmered at the corners of her eyes. Where am I supposed to go?" she asked, sobbing. "I didn't miss a beat." "Not my problem." Her lips quivered, searching for shape, for words. But I was done listening. My heart wasn't a soft place for her to land anymore. She'd scorched it herself. I stormed into the kitchen, grabbed a fresh roll of black bin bags, and stomped upstairs. "I'll give you a hand," I called down, my voice dripping with contempt. One by one, I emptied her drawers, carelessly tossing handfuls of clothes, toiletries, trinkets into the bags. No sorting, no care, just shoving, packaging her life like the waste it had become to me. Within 15 minutes, the bedroom stood hollow, stripped bare of her. I marched the bags downstairs, out into the driveway, and tossed them into her car. When I came back inside, I dangled her key ring, sliding my own house key from it, then slapped the rest onto the hall table. "Drive, don't come back." By then she was sobbing, drenched in her own tears, mascara running, voice ragged. Still she tried. We can work this out, please." "Out," I cut her off sharply. The slam of the front door echoed like thunder when she finally left. My house, once cluttered with her perfume bottles, her laughter, her warmth, now felt cavernous, empty. I grabbed a beer from the fridge and dropped into the recliner. My chest burned not from victory but from a hollow ache. Even when you win against betrayal, the silence afterward feels like loss. I drank until the walls softened around me, replaying everything in my head. The smug grin on Donovan's face that day on the field, Daniel's cheap smirk, Lisa's trembling hands as her lies caved in. Revenge had come swiftly and ruthlessly, but sitting there in the hollow shell of my living room, I felt something else brewing. Not rage, not even triumph, emptiness. The machine of vengeance was complete. All targets had been struck. But now, with the battlefield cleared, there was nothing left to swing at, just the quiet aftermath of war. And in that heavy silence, I began to wonder, what comes after vengeance? The night after Lisa left, the house was ghostly empty. Her laughter, her perfume, her clutter, all erased in the span of 15 minutes and a few bin bags. I sat there, staring at the silent walls, beer in hand, feeling like I'd won and lost simultaneously. Revenge had been sweet, precise, devastating, and yet there's no glory in drinking alone in a chair, staring at shadows. The next morning I dragged myself into the office above one of my stores. My body went through the motions, inventory checks, scheduling staff, answering supplier emails, but my mind felt foggy. Hollow. That's when Mary walked in, the advisor. Mary was in her late 50s, a rock of a woman with arms still strong from years of hauling boxes for me, kids grown and gone, but still working because she couldn't sit still. To the others, she was a mother hen, fussing, advising, scolding in equal measure. She didn't knock. She just plopped herself into the chair across from my desk and stared me down. "You look like hell." I smirked faintly. "Thanks, Mary." "What happened?" she demanded. I hesitated, but lying to Mary was impossible. So I told her flat, blunt. Lisa was cheating. I kicked her out. Mary's eyebrow shot up. "With who?" "Mark Donovan, and Daniel, the sales rep." She leaned back, sucked in a breath through her teeth. "Bloody hell, so what now? You going to crack their skulls open next?" I couldn't help but chuckle darkly. "Already dealt with Donovan, on the pitch." "God's sake," she muttered. "You're lucky the police aren't involved." Then she leaned forward, voice softening. "Listen to me, boss. You've built all this." She gestured to the office, the stores downstairs, the people depending on me. "Because people trust you. They respect you. Not because you're ruthless, but because you're fair, solid, reliable. Don't you dare piss it all away obsessing over revenge." Her words landed harder than I expected. Maybe because they were true. I'd built my life on precision, strategy, and fairness. But the last few weeks, I'd let that strategic mind turn entirely toward destruction. "I don't even know what I am without it anymore," I admitted quietly. Mary's gaze softened. "You're a man who can have whatever kind of life he bloody wants. So stop chasing ghosts and start living." Then with a cheeky grin she added, "Besides, now you're single. Trust me, you'll have women lining up." I laughed for the first time in weeks. "You volunteering?" "Dirty bugger," she muttered, standing up, a blush creeping onto her cheeks. "If I was 20 years younger, maybe." When she left, her words lingered. For the first time, instead of planning revenge, I started to plan a life. The beautiful thing about betrayal is that, more often than not, you don't need to destroy the people who betray you. You just need to step back and let gravity and their own weakness do the work. Lisa's fate unraveled quickly. The divorce was swift and brutal. No kids, only 5 years of marriage, so the solicitor handled it clean. She got the house, yes, but along with the mortgage, and no income. Within a year it was repossessed. She vanished after that, swallowed into the faceless cracks of life. As for Donovan, his knee never healed properly, permanent limp, walking cane. The man who strutted across football pitches and into other men's marriages was suddenly half a man. He gained weight. Friends stopped calling. Business partners dropped him. Eventually, he started selling off his shops, my shops. One by one, I picked them up. Not cheap, not out of malice, just market value. Business was business. This time, he limped into my office, handed me contracts, and left hunched over, defeated. That was all the revenge I needed. Daniel fared no better. Word of his affairs got out. Lisa wasn't the only married woman he'd been dangling his hooks into. One of those husbands didn't take kindly to it. Long story short, Daniel took a beating so severe the police couldn't even narrow down suspects. I wasn't one, of course. My alibi was rock solid. Karma is far more satisfying than swinging fists, but here's the real twist. All the revenge, all the destruction, it didn't heal me. Not really. What did was something far simpler. I slowed down. For the first time in years, I stopped pushing for expansion in my business. I didn't need more shops, more ledgers, more stress. I poured my energy into the people working for me. Birthday parties for staff, flexible hours for mothers, a few scholarships for student employees who wanted to study further. I found meaning not in hurting but in building. Outside work, I transformed. Rugby shifted from bruises and dominance into camaraderie, just fitness and laughter with lads who valued me for more than muscle. I joined a hill-walking club. I hiked across Europe, slept in mountain huts, tasted air so fresh it felt like rebirth in every inhale. I even took dance lessons. Me, notorious for stomping like an elephant on a pitch, gliding clumsily through tango steps with women who laughed at my 2 left feet. I laughed with them, and slowly I remembered how lightness felt. Sometimes I lie awake and remember her, the anger, the lies, the betrayal, the way her hands trembled when I pulled out the investigator's report. And yes, sometimes bitterness stirs, but it never lasts. Because the truth is, she did me a favor. She burned my old life to the ground, and out of that fire I built something better. Lisa and her lovers, gone, broken, forgotten by the world, me. I'm healthier, sharper, happier. My life isn't about revenge anymore. It's about freedom. The final lesson. Revenge is satisfying, but letting go is what saves you. And I did both. What saves you. And I did both.